it's been difficult for bands to tour. I mean, the cost has been ridiculous. And
Yeah.
was it
It
difficult?
is ridiculous for us as well.
Yeah, was it difficult to book this tour? Because do you find that maybe promoters aren't as open to putting money up to bring a band in? Has it been more difficult, or was it pretty easy for you to be able to book this? Some bands, they haven't had a lot of problems. Some have, and
There is problems for everybody now, I think,
yeah,
to make ends meet. Also for us, it took time to get this tour together, and it still takes time to get another tour together. So
yeah,
we're really fortunate in this way to be able to do this, and just having a nightliner, bringing my kid, and we all live in this bus, eats up basically the whole budget.
yeah.
Yeah.
People, it's crazy. I looked at an invoice from a pretty big metal band. I know. I looked at an invoice because I know some of these people that work at some of these bus companies here, and he showed me one of the invoices. And people don't realize you're paying the rent for the bus, you're paying by how far you're driving it, you're paying for the gasoline, you're paying the driver. In many cases,
And
you're paying
sometimes double drivers.
yeah,
And the tolls and the bridges we have in Europe.
yeah, we got all that fun stuff here as well, depending on what state you're in. You got the laundry bill. You have all of this stuff. You have the maintenance bill. So I remember looking at this bus.
Yeah.
And I think for a month, this band, and it was probably, because those buses go from anywhere from, depending on how they're spec'd out, $500,000 to $2 million, depending on what you grab. And so, you have these people that there was a year and a half, 2 years where these buses were sitting, and they were paying payments on them, so they're going to charge more money for everything. And then I think I looked at it. I think for a week it was like $45,000, and it was probably a middle of the road bus. It wasn't one of the bigger ones, but it was not one of the cheaper ones. So it was probably in the middle, but it was a lot of money.
Yeah, and from my, isn't it true that in America it's much more common to use single-decker buses?
Yeah, we had a single decker.
Yeah, I did too when I was in the US.
Yeah.
And we have double-deckers that take the double amount of people. So you need less. Yeah,
they're
in Europe, yeah.
much cooler, your buses with the silver. I love those.
Yeah, they're really nice.
But we had to take a huge loan to be opening enough for Scorpions.
Yeah.
In a bus like that.
Yeah, and it was cool because between shows you would play little smaller venues in between, kind of like on off days. And I thought that was good because you were able to kind of, spread out. You might have a club that might hold a couple hundred people, but, again, with new bands in the States, it's kind of like you got to kind of start from the bottom and kind of work your way up, to grow a fan base. And then unfortunately here, the country is so big, and it's weird because let's say you book 10 shows here, 6 of those cities, you might have a huge fan base, and then the other 4 may have never heard of you.
That's exactly how it was. We sold out Cleveland.
Yeah.
We had half full in Stubbs in Austin, and in Long Island we had 0 people coming. It was only the other band watching in New York.
Isn't that strange? Because Cleveland's a weird market. I've seen bands come here and like 20 people show up, but they'll go to New York and play to like 4,000. It's just.
Are you based in Cleveland or?
I'm in Cleveland. Yes.
Yeah. That's where we played.
Well, I know. I remember. I met you. So.
That's good.
I remember I walked in with a headband.
That's why I recognize you, I guess. Then.
Yeah, it was
and
funny.
I love that charity shop in the bottom as well.
Yeah, well, it was funny. I remember walking down with my Headbangers Ballroom shirt, and like I felt famous because I knew Adi.
Oh yeah, you know Adi.
Yeah,
that's why I know you.
Yeah, I knew him before he was famous. I always make fun of him about that, but. He didn't have the Headbangers Ballroom way back in the day. It's funny. I have an old photo.
Oh Lord, no! I completely know who you are.
Yeah, when he was a kid. It's funny. We were like kids when we met, and I was looking at an old photo, and we look pretty much identical, except we're like 50 pounds heavier. So it's kind of how. That's how.
Show me photos, actually. I remember.
I'll have to show you when we're done with the interview. I'll show you a photo of him and I.
I've seen a photo with him and you.
Yeah. You might
Yeah.
have. Yeah. So
I have.
that's a long time ago. But I think that, your fan base in Europe, what's interesting is that, you have quite a few dates booked. And it seems like you have a pretty healthy fan base over there. And, how many albums is this for you now? The band's been around, 15 years, 14 years, something like that?
16.
16 years?
So it's the sixth album.
Album number 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like you have a pretty healthy fan base over there. And was it difficult to build that for you? Or, maybe talk a bit about, getting the band to where it is now.
It is most difficult thing ever.
Yeah.
Doing that. Also, personalities in a band keep that together while touring, and touring for so many years without getting any payment for it. So all the sacrifices I did in my 20s was for Thundermother. 10 years only for that, easily. But I'm happy about it now. But I would have done it again. I don't know. I might have become a real estate agent instead. It was crazy.
No.
Crazy amount of work.
Well,
No.
I think, most musicians, they always have that other job that they do. A lot of musicians I know now, they have a job they can work from anywhere, So I know some guys do logo design. They work for big companies, and they don't have to be like at home to do that stuff. And while they're on the road, they do that, and then they can play music, and then that pretty much pays the bills from the money they don't make. So it's kind of how.
But right now, we're so fortunate to be able to do this. And
more or less full time.
Yeah, full time. So, well, that's something I don't take for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video, and if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.